Welcome to the Popko Project Podcast, a platform for the discussion and discovery of arts and entertainment. We focus on highlighting people and events that add value to the world around us. Visit us on all social media platforms by searching the Popko Project or visit our website at thepopkoproject.com. Welcome to the show, and thank you so much for listening. This episode of the podcast is brought to you by Keller's Garden Center and Landscaping Services. Are you still cutting your own grass? Are you still trying to get your landscaping to look perfect on your own? That sounds sweaty. That sounds like a lot of work. That sounds like a job for Keller's Garden Center and Landscaping Services. Family owned and operated, Keller's Garden Center and Landscaping Services, located on Kern Street in Exeter near Blue Ribbon Dairy, has the quality and experience to get your yard looking its best. The Garden Center offers plants, trees, sod, mulch, rocks, flowers, topsoil, grass seed, straw bales, and much more, while the Lawn and Landscaping Services offers mowing, trimming, planting, and full landscaping. And also new at Keller's Garden Center is the Zen Chaser Bonsai Studio, offering bonsai trees, supplies, and classes. Visit them on their social media page for more info. Keller's Garden Center and Landscaping Services. Get your free estimate today. This episode is also brought to you by Paulson Tours. For almost 30 years, this family-owned and operated business has been sending people to sports games, racing events, concerts, vacations, and more. I myself have been using Paulson Tours for trips to Red Sox games, wine festivals, and an annual guys trip to Boston for St. Patty's Day for almost 15 years. Check out the current trips being offered over at paulsontours.com. Life's a trip. Go with Paulson Tours. Already weird.
Always.
Things are already weird. Welcome to the show, Greg Paulson.
Hey, thank you.
Owner of Paulson Tours, one of the proud sponsors of the Popko Project at the moment. Thank you for that, sir.
No problem. My pleasure.
So what's going on?
Not much. How you doing? What's shaking with you?
What's wild is this is your first podcast, so I'm
Yes.
popping your podcast cherry, and What's crazy is we've known each other for at least 16 years.
Oh, yeah.
I took my first trip with you back in 2007, but I think I knew of you, or I at least saw the name Paulson Tours. Prior to that, I was at the Weekender, so I know we kind of worked together, or at least you worked with Rachel Pugh or somebody at the Weekender. So I was aware of your name, and but we've been on how many trips together, but we've never really talked about you and your business. And it's been 30 years you've been doing this for?
Almost 30. Yeah.
Almost 30 years of so Paulson Tours is a what would you call it?
So it's a tour operator. It's really different. It's unique. I'm not a travel agency where people call and I book them on various things. I get the tours together, promote them, and then hopefully people buy. It's been happening for almost 30 years. So appreciate it. And people like you as well.
Yeah, it's. I mean, we'll get into that. I can vouch for how much fun your trips are. I've gone to several trips to Boston for St. Patrick's Day and for Red Sox games and Phillies games and things like that. But so I mentioned before, I've known of you. I've known who you were, but we never talked about who was Greg growing up. Where are you from? And then we'll talk about how you got into the tour game, I guess you could say.
Well, Hanover Township, just below South Wilkes-Barre. Went to Hanover High School. I had different groups that I was hanging out with at the time, and I wasn't really into school. I didn't like it that much, to be honest with you. So it was a little rough. I was bullied a lot, and I fought a lot because I had to.
You were a bully? Or you got bullied?
I got bullied, yeah.
Really?
And I was a bully. A girl came up to me one time, and I was like, "No, what are you talking about?" I said, "If I did, I apologize." But yeah, I had big shoulders. I was a big dude, so everybody wanted to take me out. So it was like weekly, bi-weekly thing.
Yeah,
it's a little rough, but that's all right. Made me who I am.
Yeah.
So I grew up hanging around with older guys and getting in a lot of trouble. I'm going to be honest with you. I say to everybody, I'm very lucky to be alive. I'm very lucky in how things worked out.
Yeah.
I didn't get on the straight and narrow until I actually started the business at 22. And then that kind of kept me out of the party scene for a little bit. I just took the party on the road to concerts and different venues,
Yeah,
So
that's a great idea.
Yeah, it still is a nice idea. I like it.
Yeah. So you started the company. You started Paulson Tours at 22 years old?
22. I worked out in my mother's living room until I was 27. I finally got an office. I treated it well though. So
nice. So you finished high school. I mean, did you go to college or
I did. Yeah, I went to LCC, and then I went to, because I didn't know what the heck I wanted to do, but I knew I didn't want to put myself in serious debt. So LCC was a really good move. And then I went to Wilkes in Bloomsburg, and then I dropped out, and I started this business, and everybody was against it. Everybody. And I saw the numbers. I saw the vision, and I just went for it. I quit my job. I dropped out of college. It was terrifying. I'm going to be honest with you. At age 23, 24, I had 13 credit cards. I was $27,000 in credit card debt because I had to buy the tickets back then. Yeah, and you still do to a degree, have to buy like bulk tickets way, way ahead of time, and then pray they sell.
Right.
So, back then I didn't have any money. So I used every credit card I can get my hands on that they would approve. And $27,000 in credit card debt at age like 23 was terrifying. But
so you took some risks.
Oh, huge risks. It took me 12 years to get out of that kind of debt. And then, just working hard, still working.
Well, yeah. Well, let's talk about how you got into it. Because, you're 22. Everyone's against it. You said, your parents are like, this is dumb. You shouldn't do this. Your friends are like, what are you doing? But how was all that kind of, what do they say to you?
Sure. So I was working for Mart's part-time. And, that was a really cool gig. They didn't pay me, but I worked on commission. So I was doing trips down to spring break at 22. It was pretty. Yeah. I was doing trips to Mexico and, Canary Islands, in Spain, and anything I can get my hands on and promote. So I did maybe 3 or 4 of those big trips a year, and I made decent commission, but, it wasn't enough. It ran out. And then somebody gave me an idea to do a NASCAR race. And it was huge back then. I had no idea what NASCAR was, but I went to a race, and the first official bus trip was down to Dover, and the thing sold out in 2 weeks, and it was huge. And I saw the draw, and then the next year I did 2,000% increase. I did Richmond, Virginia. I did both Dovers. I did Martinsville. It just blew up. And I knew if I can get my hands on, money and hands on these tickets, I can promote them and sell them. So, and then it just took off from there. I mean, there was one point I was doing 8 buses to each Dover, 400 and some people to each Dover. And then I got into concerts, and I got into, Steelers and Yankees, and, it just took up whatever I can get my hands on. I think people would go to, that's what happened. And thank God that you treat people well, they're going to come back. So that's what I've done, the best I can.
Right. So you start with NASCAR. That was the kind of the, and then, I mean, that went well, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, what made you, obviously the money adds up, right? So that's why you probably wanted to do different trips, but how did you, did you have a group of people, like a circle that was already interested, that you was okay, I can kind of expand into sports, or I can expand into other things outside of NASCAR? As such a young man, and you're already you're in this debt, how did you do it? I mean, you make it sound so easy, right? Yeah, we just did some
Right.
baseball games and Yankees trips and this and that and other thing, but it's not that simple, right? You can't just wake
No.
up and just
It's definitely not easy. I did a lot of legwork. I hit bars, I hit restaurants, I put flyers everywhere. I talked to everybody I could. I told them who I was, what I was doing. And as a young guy, I just had that energy, and it was just smiling, going in, talking to everybody, and a lot of people helped me out. They let me put flyers everywhere, anywhere I could think of. Beer places, Turkey Hills. They let me put them on the counter. I mean, anytime I can get a flyer out, that's what I did. Talk to groups. asked them to promote it. Had a lot of friends. I was a very social guy in high school and college, so they all promoted and talked about it. And you get enough people talking about things, and like I said, you do a good job, the word will spread.
You still make it sound so easy.
It's not, trust me.
No, it's not.
Harder, trust me.
Yeah. So, I mean, like this. So, what year was it that you started? Because, like, I imagine back then was much different than things are now. So, like, what year was it when you started?
1994, April 24th, 1994.
Okay, so yeah, right. You're almost on 30 years. So, 94. Like, what was popular back then that kind of, took you, like, it laid the foundation to like where you are today?
Definitely the NASCAR races. That was
that's
back then. And then, I got into, I think Dave Matthews. Somebody said, "Hey, run a Dave Matthews trip." And then another friend told me, run a Jimmy Buffett trip. I'm telling you, he's popular. And I said, okay. So I tried it, sold them out, and they just kept getting tickets and, selling it out when you can get them. It's not easy at all. Everybody knows that now. You can't get your hands on tickets. But, and then, I had some friends that were Steeler fans. I was a Steeler fan. They said, "Hey, run a Steelers trip." So I did, and that sold out. And I'm like, okay, I'll try 2 this year. And then I'm like, my dad was a Giants fan. I was also a Giants fan. So I ran that trip. And then there was a lot of Eagles fans around. And then I called Penn State and I got myself some season tickets and, went down there and met with them and told them what I was doing. And, that, of course, Penn State's huge around here.
Mm-hmm.
And, just expanded from there. Red Sox, I do 1 trip a year. I haven't done it since COVID, but I will get back to it. A Red Sox trip up in Boston, which if people haven't been to Boston, you could tell them 1,000 times. The place is just different. It's awesome.
Yeah.
It's just friendly and there's so many things to do there and the city is all walkable. But, that's what I did. Just trying different things. Wine trips. Everybody likes to drink. So I do wine and brewery tours and Radio City trips, in New York during November and December. People love to go into the city and it's all hassle free, plus they know what they're going to get when they come with me. So they continue to come back. Thank God.
So when you say a buddy says you should do, a Dave Matthews trip, what does that look like? What does that mean? Like, do you have to, like, do you talk to the venue, secure tickets, and then you put them up for sale on your website? And how does that work?
So back in the day, yes, you could call the venue in a lot of instances and they would have the tickets. It wasn't huge back then. They would have the tickets readily available. Sometimes I would get discounted tickets, but very rare. People always thought I got discounted tickets or free tickets. For myself. It was very rare that happened. But, if I couldn't get them from the venue, I would just spend time online, using various credit cards to get the tickets, different addresses, different emails, things like that. You can't do it these days, but, back in the day, you could get away with that.
Mm-hmm.
And then, just get them together. And, these people that went the previous year to Dave Matthews, I'd promote to them and I'd ask them to, hand out flyers to their friends when they went out and they do that. And it just grew from there. Hey, this guy's running a trip. Now, back then, I give to get people on, I had none to lose. So I would take barrels and I would put barrels of beer in the bottom of the bus. And, just party. It was just a good time. I included it in a lot of trips. I included unlimited beer. Of course, I card people. But they had fake ideas, though.
I'm sure you had a keen eye for the fake ideas, right?
Yeah, you do what you got to do back in the day, but now I can't take any chances. So
no, right? But talk about the not only the risk that you took, like buying tickets and putting all these trips on your credit cards and racking up, all these credit cards, like 1994. I mean, it's amazing what changes in 5-10 years. We're talking 30-year span now. Like what in 1994, 95, and even like to like 2000, like talk about some of the, you just mentioned like you would take barrels of beer. Like that's crazy to even like hear right now, knowing how things are today. Could you do it? Sure, if you want to lose your business, right? Because like,
right.
Social media now, everyone's, TikTok and, Instagram, like someone's gonna take a video of that, post it on social media, and you're gonna get called the next day, and your business is gonna be like shut down. So like,
for sure.
Talk about some of those. Like, I mean, I feel like, and I've been in media for a long time, and I know things we did back, early 2000s, like, that we couldn't do today. Like, talk about some of the things you did in the very early stages to, build a buzz and just kind of get people excited about your trips. And were there more things than just like the beer stuff? Like, I don't want to get you in trouble here, but I think there's those statute limitations will be all right. But talk about like those like early years. Like, I mean, I feel as probably in a young man too, like, there's no fooling us. Like, we're both much older now, but like, talk about those early years.
Yeah, sure. So yeah, absolutely. I would do whatever it took. I had nothing to lose. So I'd promote and advertise unlimited beer. And I did it on all the tailgates for all the trips. And I'd have kegs and kegs. And I remember doing a Jimmy Buffett trip and we had 17 barrels of beer. There were 750 people in Philadelphia. First time you ever played Philly. Citizens Bank Park, 750 people. I rented Job Johnnies so they could all like not have to like wait to go. I had I think 12 Job Johnnies. We went through 17 barrels of beer. I had, I had liquor that was included, and nobody was carding anybody. I told the guys to, but they weren't listening.
This is we don't want to. This is going to reach millions of people. We don't want the cops involved here.
This back in the day, I'm good to go.
I know.
They snuck it. I remember I was one of the first to do tailgates. There were other guys in business that did what I do. They're not in business anymore. I don't think any of them, but they didn't do any tailgates. And I was like, man, I'll never forget it. I did Dave Matthews, and it's a good friend of mine, still goes on my trips. We're very good friends. This one guy, I didn't know him at the time. I'll leave his name out. Okay. But I had 3 Dave Matthews bus trips in a row, and he was on every one of them. I didn't know who the guy was. I don't think he slept. He surely didn't eat, but he partied his ass off all 3 Dave Matthews trips, and it was by himself. So we piled up. He was helping me out, and I think it was one of the year before I had a trip and he was on there and nobody was eating. And they were all like, these kids after the concert were coming back and they were literally like falling because they were like starving and no energy. And I'm like, holy crap, I gotta do something, because all these young people, they were my age. So when I say young, they're just like falling all over the damn place, just drunk. And I'm like, didn't you get anything to eat? I don't have any money. So I started the previous year, I started grilling and doing hot dogs, hamburgers, and it definitely expanded from there. But that was kind of the alcohol and doing the tailgates. And then I also did some raffles at these things where I was giving away some awesome presents, gifts or whatever, raffle prizes. And it was just like $5 a ticket. And they would go home with like maybe a $400 Jimmy Buffett surfboard, like everybody wanted. So just different things like that to make them, come back and just really enjoy themselves. And we'd get DJs in the parking lot, which I still do from time to time. Just crazy stuff. Just try anything to get everybody excited and make it an incredible experience for them. So when they get off that bus and wake up the next day, they're like, hey man, it was a great trip. And then they just tell everybody.
Yeah. So you started creating experience. That's awesome.
Yeah, definitely. Anything I can think of. It was definitely a new tailgate experience. I know when I did Yankees games, I had a grill out, and I was like the only guy there with a grill. No, and I remember all these other guys that had bus trips were walking by going, wow, that's a great idea. And I swear to God, the next year and 2 years after that, everybody had tailgates at Yankee Stadium in the parking lot. I was like, holy crap. So I was like on the prefaces of starting like something different and new, for these bus trips. Nobody ever did anything like that. So I used to jump over the grill when I was in much better shape too. I'd light it all on fire and it'd be up high. And I'd look at everybody and go, do you think I'm going to make it? And I was a big dude. So they were like, oh man, thank God I made it all the time,
Dinner and a show.
Dinner and a show.
That's awesome.
I haven't done that in years though, and I don't think I'll go back to it. So
yeah, I wouldn't recommend it. We're getting, like I said before, we're old. We're getting old now.
We are.
We got too much to live for now too. It's like,
absolutely.
Yeah. But so you're a young guy doing these trips. Like, I mean, that has to be pretty wild. So like, not only are you, making money, you have your own business. You're a young man, but you're having a lot of fun doing it too, right?
Oh, yeah, for sure. Oh yeah. It was definitely a nice time. I met my wife on my trips. I met some of my best friends on the trips. I met you on these trips, and your buddies, Dave, and the crew. And lifelong friends. And so you're hanging out with people you have something in common with and you're just enjoying the shit out of yourself. You're drinking, you're socializing, you're laughing, creating memories that we have for a lifetime. So it was absolutely a great experience, and it still is. I still love hanging out. I call them my travel friends because now with the kids and the sports and us wanting to travel, it's tough. So I only see some of these people like maybe once a year, twice a year, but I still love them. They're great people. We always say we're going to get together, but it's never like we had like no time. It stinks, but at least I get to see them a few times a year on the trips.
Yeah, you have a built-in reason. It's funny too. Like you have to go, like sometimes you have to go on these trips, right?
Right.
It's like, oh, hon, I got to go on this trip. Like,
Yeah.
you have to. We want nice things. We got to. I
I'll
really don't want to go, but
I'll give you a perfect example. Last year, I went up to Finger Lakes Wine Festival, and I don't know if you've been on it or if people that are listening have not been on it, but it's pretty awesome. It's at the Watkins Glen Raceway. It's up at the Finger Lakes, and all the wineries from that area and beyond come to the racetrack. They set up these massive tents. And I'm talking like there's like 90 plus wineries, there's breweries, and everything is like free. They just give you samples of anything you want, liquor, tequila. I mean, anything you can think of. So last year I went with my buddy, the same guy actually that I was talking about with the Dave Matthews that didn't eat for 3 days. I went up, I said, hey, will you help me out? We went up, we stayed overnight. And I got to tell you, it was like a little kickback to like years before. We had a blast. We went to this bar after the festival on Saturday, and there were so many college kids there. Totally felt out of place. But then I was very social, and we were talking, But we were older, of course. But we had a great time. I mean, it just brought back some memories of what it used to be. And now we don't stay out so late, but
yeah.
still enjoy ourselves.
But that's like the common theme of like your trips though too. Like, I mean, like I said, I've been going to Boston minus the COVID years since 2007. Like I said, I've been on some other trips too, but I've never like even heard anyone like grumble like a negative thing or a bad thing about one of your trips. Like, I mean, what's the secret? I mean, I think you kind of mentioned it earlier, but like how do you keep that going? And it's always, I'm sure there's people who've been upset, right? You can't please everybody, but like obviously you're going on 30 years, like you're doing something right.
Right. So I think that, I'm a people person. I got to be honest with you. And believe me, there are times where I'm like, oh my God, I hate people, but no,
I think we all are.
Yeah, exactly. People deal with sometimes. But for the most part, people are incredible. And the ones that I deal with, I'm very fortunate that they're signing up for something they want to go to and do. It's not like they're going to work. It's not like, and they're going with the people they actually want to be with. Mm-hmm. So they're already in a good mood, and then when I hear their voices and they tell me about like trips they went on, 20 years ago, it makes me smile. And then I start talking to them, and I still take the phone calls and the orders and stuff. So that's the fun part that keeps me going, to be honest with you. Because during COVID, I was thinking, man, I'm going to retire because I don't know when this is going to come back. And, and then just the people didn't let me. In 2021, they just kept calling. And then 2022, they're just like, they would not. They're like, oh, you're going to do this? You're going to do this again? We can't wait to go back. And I'm like, okay, I'm definitely not even semi-retiring. I have to go full tilt. So,
yeah. So I didn't want to jump into this quickly, but like you brought it up. So let's just do it. So you have this successful business, and you're probably entering close to your, I can't do math now.
Yeah,
25 years or so, right?
Yeah.
And then COVID strikes, and you're in the business of events. You're in the business of selling experiences and people gathering and concerts and just large events. I mean, COVID hits. Like, what were you thinking? Like, I mean, I couldn't imagine being. I mean, I knew where I was being a commissioned sales rep in radio, and being at my sales goal middle of the month of March, and then just fielding phone calls for the rest of the month with like cancellations and like just seeing the number, like just my small number go from here down to here. Like, I mean, your business came to a complete halt. Like, talk about like that, because that's obviously significant to you as a business owner, and that's your livelihood. Like, you have a family to take care of. Like, what was going through your head at that time?
Yeah, so 2 young kids. I've been in a new house that I bought. I think maybe 10 years previous to that. And then, you go from doing very well for, quarter century, and then all of a sudden overnight, boom, it's like things are done. So I had a rough period. I got to be honest with you. What made it even tougher is it was right in March. That is when, in this business, you lay out all the money. In particular, my business, you lay out all the money for the Yankees tickets, Phillies tickets, Mets tickets. I had, football tickets for Penn State laid out, concerts like you wouldn't believe, already purchased, ready to go, ready to be sold. And I had a quarter of the inventory sold. So it was going to shape up to be a good year. And then bam. So people wanted like refunds right away. And I didn't have the money because it was all laid out for previous inventory. Right. But I communicated with people, and, I was honest with them. And I'm telling you, 99% of the people were fantastic. A couple of knuckleheads here and there, just gave me a hell of a hard time. And I said, listen, I have to do it this way. I have to wait for the Yankees to give me the money back. I have to wait for Penn State. And, they didn't give it all back either. It was tough. And hotels, they were tough giving it back. So I went from like being a very, very happy guy to a very confused, aggravated, and stressed guy. Mm-hmm. And, it was a challenging time, but we're all stronger, because of that. You go through those challenges and you become out stronger. So, and it wasn't just that year, obviously. It's that year was done. What we did do on the brighter side, well, let me finish the downside of it. That year was done. 2021 was so confusing because concerts they're coming back, and then COVID went up again, so they canceled them again, and I was like, holy moly. Then 22 just was a blowout year. It was good, and I'm like, okay, I'm back. And then 2023, it's just, we're really zipping, working on getting a new website going and other things down the pipeline, so get it back to full throttle, so to speak. But so that was the down part of everything. It's very challenging. And then I sat around and I looked at my wife, my fiance at the time, Molly. And I said, listen, we're never going to have time. She's a teacher. So there was no teaching. She was doing Zoom. The kids weren't in school. There was no sports. I said to her, we looked at each other and said, listen, let's go out on the West Coast. We'll do, 3 weeks, 4 weeks on the West Coast. And that's what we did. We sat and planned. And we flew into Seattle, and we drove all the way down to San Diego, going in and out all over the place, and went over to Arizona, Grand Canyon, and landed in Vegas, and we made the best of it. So we took those horrible memories and turned it into a vacation of a lifetime. And, the bonus was there was like nobody anywhere. Like we're walking through the airport, there's nobody there. We had our choice of like 8 seats around us on the plane. Going into these tour spots, there was hardly anybody around. We had everything to ourselves. A couple of things were shut down, but not too many. So, but we made it. We turned it around and made an incredible vacation.
Yeah, I remember we were supposed to leave for Boston. I think you pulled the plug on the Thursday. We were supposed to leave on Friday morning. I think we got an email or a call from you on Thursday,
3 or 4 days before.
And you're like, "All right, trips off," and yeah, I can't imagine like being a business owner, like in your shoes and in your field, and seeing all that just like come to a crashing halt.
Yeah, that particularly was really a tough one because the hotel was paid, the bus was paid. Yeah. Everybody had their money in. It was a full sold out trip. It was like, and a few years before that, it was starting to slow down. I'm thinking this is going to be the last year, but then it picked up big time. And, man, to make that call, half of the people wanted to go, and they were very mad at me because they just wanted to go. And the other half were begging me to cancel. And, I took it all into consideration, and I tried to work with the hotel, and they worked with me a little bit. Of course, the bus company worked with me because I'm with them consistently every year. And then, majority of people worked with me. There was like maybe 1 or 2 people that were angry with me completely, but there was nothing I could do about it. But, yeah, it was so tough because, you have to go, people are the most important, their health. Mm-hmm. So nobody knew exactly what was going on. Nobody knew what the truth was, but, the numbers were so high and people were so, vehement about not going. I was like, I can't justify having the bus go. And then there's no chance nobody else is going to get their money. The other half are going to get their money because the bus is going. Right. So it was a tough call. That was wish it happened after.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, man, I am so glad that you made the call because like I was on the fence. I was like, I had my son was, just 2 years old. You think about like, oh, if I go, and I think Boston was kind of like a hot spot
Yep.
for COVID or something like that. I don't remember at this point, but I was like, I wanted to go, and I was talking to people that like I trust, and they were going on trips still, and so I was calling them, and they had kids, so I was calling them and saying like, hey, like, what are your thoughts? And like, I respect you and all that kind of stuff. They're like, yeah, we're just gonna keep living our lives and blah blah blah. And I was like, I'm still going on this Boston trip. And I knew like one or two of our guys were going to back out. And I still wanted to go. But I was like, what if I go and I get something? Because at that time, again, it was so early. We didn't know what was going on. What if
Right.
I get something and bring it back and my kids? Like, I'll never live that down. Like, I'll never forgive myself. Like,
Right.
so I'm glad that you had to take that that call, because it kind of took some pressure off of me and what the decisions I needed to make. But yeah, yeah,
Do you know what also happened, John? Is the breweries called me and said, we're shutting down. So that was the whole preface of the trip. They hit the Sam Adams Brewery and Harper Brewery, staples, incredible places.
yeah,
And they were shutting down. And I'm like, well, what the heck? Now the other bars were starting to close down. I called like lots of people I know that lived up there. I called professionals that are in, the business up there, restaurant owners, bar owners, hotel managers. They said the city's pretty much shutting down. And I'm like, okay, well, then I have no choice. But, you got to not force people to go, number one. And two,
right.
what are they doing to get up there anyway?
Yeah, I mean, you actually probably saved people a bad experience.
Yeah.
Even if you put people on the bus and took them up there, then what? Sit the hotel
Right.
room and that's their
Exactly.
fault.
So they made the choice before, and then the breweries called me like the next day, and they were like, "Oh, we're shutting down." I'm like, "Okay, good. That was a goddamn good call." And then we
Yeah,
saw how bad it was with the pandemic up there, and you're right. What if we go up and get something and bring it back? I thought that too. Everybody thought that. I was like, man, I don't want to kill anybody. My
right.
mom was older. My dad was older. I'm like, I'm sure as hell not going to go near them and nobody knew what it was. Nobody knew how long it was going to last. Nobody knew who would get affected. There's some crazy times we lived through, man. It's unbelievable.
Yeah,
So,
and I mean, that's obviously a health issue, but like you've probably dealt with a lot of scenarios during
mm,
the almost 30 years. People being drunk and people, just having too much fun. Like, I mean, like I look back on, and I want to talk about some of the like, navigating those waters. I look back on the first trip. It was 2007 going to Boston, and it was a huge snowstorm. Like,
yeah.
and I'm almost thinking like, if that happened today, would you cancel the trip? I don't know if like, because things are different now. I mean, I think we got drunk 3 different times going to Boston that day because it took us like over 10 hours to get there.
Yeah. I think 12 hours to get there.
And a 5 hour trip took 12. Like, I remember that we were like not sleigh riding, but like on our butts, like in the snow, going down embankments, and the bus drivers were doing it too. It
Massive
was
piles of snow. I know.
so much fun. But like, I mean, like I said, I was my first trip. We were excited going to Boston for the first time. Well, not the first time, but like on this trip for the first time. You're with your best friends, and that trip alone was like everyone was, pedaled down. Like
Yeah.
everyone was there to have a good time, and we did. But I remember just like looking back, as a 40-year-old John Popko, looking back on a 24-year-old Johnny Weekender. Um, and I think about that young kid, that young drunk kid, that young obnoxious, like tell that. Thankfully, everyone else was like drunk too. Um, do I regret the way I was? I don't know. Like I had fun. I don't think I was that
You
bad.
weren't that bad, man.
I was that guy. Like we were
You were that
hauling, we
guy.
were, I don't know. I just
You were
it's
proud to take that tag at that time. But
yeah. I
I
mean,
was like, don't be that guy. And then
yeah,
you're like,
well, that was
am
that.
I that guy? You think I'm that guy? No, listen. If you were bad, I would say I would have had to say something. But no, you were great, man. You were a good time. Everybody was in the same mode.
Yeah,
We were all drinking our faces off. That was a great. Not only that, but like to have 50 plus people get along for that long in a confined space, it's
yeah.
pretty impressive. And we had a blast. We had a great time.
But I mean, talk about people that like. Have you had any customers that were that guy to,
beyond.
yeah, past me, like past like, and how do you navigate that? Like, how do you like not disrupt other people's experiences, but like you don't want to, piss off your customer, but you also have to like kind of be in control of, the situation. Like, talk about those scenarios.
Sure. So in the beginning, like I said, I promoted everywhere, especially in bars, because you get some good groups. You get like a bar owner or somebody that frequents a bar. They have a ton of people they know. They're like, yeah, let's go. We're going to go to a Yankee game. So you definitely are going to run into some. I've coined the phrase. I call them bus holes. So drunk people on a bus holes.
Yeah, bus holes. I like
So
that.
you would get them, and I have, unfortunately, I have left people in different cities. I've kicked them off buses, and if they get, just because they got too bad, if they're fighting or screaming at one another, throwing punches, you're off the bus, And I was a big dude, so I got them off the bus. They listened, if I had to call the state police, I'd call the state police, or if the drivers had to call the police if they were running trips, or my friends, and we literally would have people escorted off the bus, and it was trying because I had families that wanted to go, and then I had these bar groups that wanted to go. So I started doing 2 different buses, and I'd have them when they were signing up, party bus or family bus. And then, it was pretty much 50-50. Like I'd get a full bus of family and I get a full bus of party. And anybody that signed up for the party bus, they would know that, hey, it's going to be a little crazy. It's going to be a little hectic. There might be some bad language. Who knows what's going to happen? It's a party bus. Family bus, if you get on there and you even like curse or anything, I'm going to be on you because it's a family bus. So over the years, I really got like the people that got really drunk, the bus holes it wasn't worth promoting in bars anymore. Do you know what I mean?
Mhm.
Because I was finding that guys would sign up, and even girls would sign up, and they don't even know what trip they're going on. They're just getting on a bus with cooler beer. They're like, "Where are we going anyway?" And I'm like, "What? You don't even know where you're going?" They just went to drink their faces off.
Mm-hmm.
I purposely stopped promoting in some bars, not all bars, because not all bars are, bad like that. But I stopped primarily promoting in bars. And I raised the price a little bit because it got rid of, for lack of a better term, troublemakers, people that are just going to party. So, and then I started gearing towards families, and I really wanted, now I'm on like 3 generations of families. And these people, they'll book, we have 10 people. They're great. They're thankful. It's hassle-free travel for them. And that's my goal now, is to get these generations to come with Paulson Tours for however long they want to go with me and however long I do it. So, and that's what I really enjoy, seeing these grandkids coming, and I'm like, wow, I'll hook them up the best I can. I'll give them a little surprise, some of them, if I remember or know that it's their first trip to little grandkids or something. So, and then I have my kids going on trips. My kids are very social, so they're always out there talking or throwing a football around with other kids. So it just welcomes families and kids more.
You think they take over?
So I didn't even give that a thought. And I still want them to do vastly more than I do. If you're a good dad, that's the way you should think, in my opinion. Sure. I want them to do way more than what I have accomplished. But my youngest one had said to me one day, we were driving in a car, and he goes, I think I'm gonna do a business. I'm like, what makes you say that? What's that? He looked at me and he goes, legacy. I'm like, I think he was like 6 or 7 at the time. I'm like, legacy? How does he even know what legacy is?
Yeah.
So, talking to my wife, Molly, and, talking to other people, and I said to myself, I'm going to at least keep it going so they have an option.
Sure.
Do you know what I mean? Like, if they want to do it, they can do it. If they don't want to do it and they're going to do something else, they do something else. Sure. So I'm all about options. So if I leave them that option, that's good for them,
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny. And like, they may not even realize it until it's too late. I remember my dad was a surveyor, and he wanted me to like get into surveying for whatever reason, but he didn't have a good way of communicating that, like, or explaining like why, like, hey, it's good money, or hey, like you can, create your own schedule, or whatever it might have been. Right. But like I would go on jobs with him, and I would hold the prism and things like that from the measure distances and things. But like, looking back on it now, like I knew where his head was at, and he passed away in 2005, so I can't even talk to him about it now. But it was weird. Like, I looking back, I wish that I would have taken more interest. But I was like, I want to do my own thing. I don't want to follow my dad's footsteps. I want to do my own thing, right?
Right.
But then looking back too, it's like even if like we started a business together, like he would have been around for, very little of it, anyways. But
Right. Yeah.
it's cool that like you're thinking like that, just in that hey, we'll give them an option if they want to take it, cool. And
Yeah.
if not, then that's cool too. But they'll probably realize it when it's like not too late, but like maybe they're doing something else for 2 years and they go, hey dad, let's revisit that conversation.
Yeah. I mean, the older one said to me too, he goes, can I work for you? I need it on my resume. I'm like, of course. Of course. You tell me when you're ready, I'll teach you everything you want to know, it's the business still excites me, I don't know why I just, it's nerve wracking. It's stressful sometimes, but it gives me something to do. It keeps my mind focused on something besides, just hanging out and being bored, So yeah, I like it. I like people. I really enjoy my clients. I think they're the greatest clients in the world. I mean, they stuck with me through all this stuff. I mean, 9/11, the big bubble in the real estate and the tech stocks and stuff like that. That was '08 where it crashed. And then the pandemic, I don't know what else, like maybe aliens blowing up the planet will like kill Paulson Tours. But like the pandemic, I thought, but then when that happened, I thought 2.5 years. I'm done for 2.5 years. And it's pretty much right on.
Yeah.
But the people still excite me. So, it's just, I just like people. I'm a good person for the most part.
Sure. Well, I mean, there's got to be, I mean, like you, again, like going back, you started it as such a young person, like, people starting businesses at that age it's pretty rare.
Mm-hmm.
You have your names on it. Like you literally have your name on the product. Like there's no hiding behind, the name McDonald's or whatever. It's like, it's your name. It's like, obviously you're proud of that. It's cool to, be able to do 30 years later and keep that going.
Yeah. Yeah. I definitely wanted to put a name out there. I couldn't think of anything clever. And I was like, why don't I just go with Paulson? Because, exactly what you said, there's no hiding. My name's right there. That's going to get trust and right off the bat, because, who the hell puts their name on something and stays with it,
Mm-hmm.
And when I answer the phone, I'm like, I'm Greg Paulson. They're like, oh, you are? Yeah. I'm like, yep, I'm the owner. And they're baffled, after so many years. But believe me, sometimes I wonder, why the hell am I not down in Florida, like retired? then in reality, I got young kids.
You got time.
Reality hits me.
I'll never forget. It was 2018. My son was born late December of 2017. The Boston trip was coming up in March, like it does every year. So he was like 2.5, 3 months old, and I was like, Greg, I don't know, man. I don't know if I can swing it. Like
I remember
got this little, and you're like, dude, you got to do it. You got to keep going, and because you're like, it's gonna be a day where they're in sports and your life is going to be dedicated to them, and you're going to miss out on a lot of things. Like keep going, doing stuff with, this trip, do stuff with your wife, like while you can, because one day they're going to rule you. I'll tell you what, man, he's 5 years old now. He's in coach pitch baseball, and we are going 3 to 4 nights a week.
Yes. I told you. Yeah.
Thankfully, he's like not in anything in the winter / early spring and March, because like that would mess up the trip. But who knows? Who knows that down the road? But yeah, you're right. You were absolutely right about just kids getting involved and stuff, and you lose a lot of those moments.
I'm big on traditions. If you're hanging out, you got a great crew of friends, man. I mean, every time I talk to these guys, I don't even want to leave. I just want to go and drink with you guys all night, but I got to do some other things, business. But no, I tell everybody, don't get rid of that, because they're the memories and they're the joyful times. You could be yourself. That you could be that guy you were when you were 24. And you're all going to remember that, and you just keep that. And you'll see when you saw some of the other guys on the trips, the one finally gave up and he didn't come this year. He was 76.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't even know he was that old. I was like, holy crap. He's 76. He's still going to Boston partying. But he finally said, it's my last year. And I shook his hand, and I was like, man, well, it's been a pleasure. I don't know what else to say. Thank you. But I try to keep those traditions going too and create new ones,
Yeah.
But We're gonna run around with the kids, man. And, we're constantly going.
Yeah. This year,
Don't get me wrong, but
of course, yeah. I mean, yeah,
don't wanna hang out
I
with
wouldn't
buds.
change it for the world. But yeah,
Right.
it's your time becomes not yours.
Yeah, you're a chauffeur.
Yeah.
You're a coach, a chauffeur. You're a promoter because you're promoting their sport. And
Yeah.
you know,
But in a post-COVID world too, I mean, obviously we're dealing with inflation and the lack of people, working, the rising costs for gas, the buses, like, did you think that you would, even if you got through the pandemic, would you think you'd have to experience these hurdles as well? Because I'm sure that that's really cutting into your bottom line. You're trying not to raise the prices of the trips where people can't afford to go at all. It's
right.
like, how do you walk that tightrope?
So I'm just going to go with one word, brutal. So, as I said, I dealt with 9/11 when people didn't want to go in, they were afraid to go to sporting events, but then it was like America and people were like, no, we're going, we're not afraid. And then we dealt with the banking crisis and like people's 401ks were going down. Then we dealt with the pandemic, which was brutal. And then 2022, everything's finally coming back and inflation goes nuts. And the bus prices are insane. The hotel prices, the ticket prices. I looked at my wife, Molly, and I said, I got to tell you, I felt so bad to have to raise the prices on people, but I had no choice. And I said, I have to throw it out there. They're asking me to come on, do these trips. They're asking me. A lot of people held credit and they wanted to go on to new different trips. So I told her, I said, listen, I have no idea what's going to happen. I make the same no matter what. I make a percentage. I said, I'm going to put it up and I'm going to keep my percentage because I can't go any lower than that, especially after 2 years previously getting beat up. And I told her, I said, I don't know what's going to happen. But I got to tell you, John, it blew up. People were just so sick of sitting in.
Mm-hmm.
Last year was incredible. And this year it went up again, inflation, bus prices, and all that again. And I did my best to negotiate with everything. But people are still buying. They really are. It's not. I don't think it's like huge like it was last year, but I don't know yet because I didn't put on my football yet. That's the telltale, football and then some fall trips. So I'm doing good in spring, doing well in spring and summer. We'll see how the fall goes. I'm always nervous this part of the year. So if the fall goes well and the winter months go well, then I had a decent year. So we'll see. Inflation's crazy. Ticket prices are insane. I don't know if that's necessarily all inflation. I think the promoters and Ticketmaster and artists themselves, I think I don't know. They're messing around with the tickets and the algorithms, and I think that I think they're just trying to get as much as they can. They're greedy, in my opinion. I don't think their ticket prices have anything to do with inflation. But
yeah, you're right. I think you're right for sure.
Taylor Swift ticket, $2,400. I think I saw 3 days before Philadelphia. That's Super Bowl ticket prices.
Right.
That's insane. And
I heard she did put on a show though. I heard she put on a 3.5 hour show. But that to me, man, like I don't want to see I won't even watch a 3.5 hour movie on my couch. That's, I don't care if it's Springsteen. I don't want to see a performance that's over 3 hours. I just don't want to see it. I don't know if it's just me and who I am, but like, no thanks.
And I gotta be honest with you, I'm the same way. But then I talk to these people, and these are they're Swifties. They love Taylor Swift. If they're gonna spend, like, I would spend money to go to a Super Bowl. I'll spend thousands, right? If my team's in a Super Bowl, we're going. I'm spending the money where people would think I'm crazy. No, that's something I love. That's something I've always loved. So you have to take it and look at the people. They love Bruce Springsteen, right? Of Taylor Swift, the country artists. They're in love with these guys. So to them, it's their Super Bowl.
Yeah, and you're right.
They're spending their money exactly how they want to, and they have no qualms about it. So I get that. I've seen that for years and years and years. Yankee fans, they'll take the good seats once a year.
Losers.
I don't even know if the Red Sox have a better record now or no. I didn't even look.
As of right now, today is let's
one game.
I want to document this. This is Monday, May 15th. This probably won't be released for 2 weeks. So things could change between now and then, but as of right now at 9:49 p.m. on May 15th, the Red Sox, I believe, are ahead of the Yankees in the standings. They're both doing poorly. There's nothing to be proud about, but Oh no. They're they're actually Red Sox are a half game behind the Yankees. Son of
Uh,
a bitch.
ah,
I still
uh,
hate the Yankees. I
we
still
don't
hate
hate
the
the Red
Yankees.
Sox, but we sure as heck don't like when we play them because it's always good, you know.
Damn. That changed quick. The Red Sox were like 3 games ahead of the Yankees at one
I think the
point. That
Yankees won tonight, or they're
stinks.
projected to win. They're like up 8-0 or something.
Mm, that's
So,
unfortunate. Okay, well, I will walk with my tail between my legs for that one. But But yeah, you're right. I mean, people are spending in general, though. I mean, I don't know how people are still doing it with like the way prices are. Like, I mean, you go to the grocery store and it's a fortune, but people are still spending like home improvements and
yeah,
certain trips. But I mean, yeah,
I think
good for them.
the people I'm talking to are like, they're just like, listen, I don't know when I'll be able to do it again. I don't know if I'll ever get to do it again. You know,
Yeah.
I think that everybody faced their mortality during this
Hmm.
pandemic. Everybody was like, man, if I get it, blah, 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 you know, I'm not going to be here. If my parents die, but everybody thought that way. Everybody. So, and I'm the same way too. You know, I booked a vacation for my wife's 40th, and I went above and beyond for a Bahama vacation for her 40th birthday. Unfortunately, my mother passed, and we couldn't go on the trip. But
Really sorry.
I went great. Thank you. I spent way more than I ever would have. But I was like, yeah, you know, she's only 40 once. We're who knows when we're going to be here or what will happen. The future is not written. It's not guaranteed. So we're gonna live it up. So I think everybody's kind of feeling that way a little bit.
Yeah, I think you're
How
right.
will it
Yeah.
be 5 years down the road when they have to pay all this stuff off? You know, I don't know.
Yeah, I think you're right though. Yeah. I mean, yeah, people are just they realize how life or short life could be.
Right.
So we're not promised tomorrow, right? So it's
Exactly.
like and my wife says that a lot too. We can't take it with us. And it's like, yeah, you're right, but like, should probably be a little responsible. And we are, but she likes to say that we can't take it with us.
It's true. Live, seize the day. You know, carpe
Yeah, I
diem.
mean, we do a lot of things as a family. We make those memories with our children now, and it's a lot of fun. And I'm hoping one day we go on a Paulson Tours trip with either to a Red
Great.
Sox game with the kid and or kids when our daughter's old enough. But like, yeah, I mean, like it's and you said this before. It's you've been able to become part of people's lives in a way that like not everyone can be. Not everyone gets that opportunity in their job, in their career to do that, to have like an impact on people like you do.
Yeah. So when the pandemic, you wouldn't believe the outpouring. Like I was honest in the emails. I was honest every step of the way. I said to my wife, I'm like, listen, I'm just going to put it out there. I don't care what I look like, what people think. I'm just going to be honest with everybody about everything. And you wouldn't believe the supportive emails I got back and phone calls and letters that people sent me. Like, I can't, so sorry you're going through this. And I mean, it just maybe it still gives me, goosebumps. Like they actually care, and I didn't treat them like just numbers.
Mhm.
I never did. I'm sure some people might think I have, but I never intended to do that. I was always one on one. Anything they needed, any kind of incident, whether it be small or big, we'll take care of it. Just give me a chance to make it right. And fortunately, there hasn't been a lot of times that I had to, do that. But I was just honest. I like people, and then they show it back big time.
Yeah.
They won't let me retire at all, so I'm not going to screw it.
My my response to your email was because you're like, oh, you know what, you can take the money for the Boston trip and use it towards a future trip down the road, or you can get a refund, but you weren't sure when.
Right?
And I think I wrote back, let it ride, bro.
Yeah, appreciate it. A lot of people did. I mean,
Yeah,
that really did.
spent money was gone. Like whatever.
Yeah, yeah. No, it really did. That went a long way. Like yourself and all your buddies, and yeah, I can't even say how thankful I am that every one of the Paulson Tours clients, like, really helped me out. They knew the jam I was in. I was honest with them. What was I going to do? I couldn't sell my house, get everybody their money back. I was at the mercy of the Yankees, Penn State, the hotels. It was trying, man. But like I said, people are good people. They really are at heart for the most part.
Yeah. And what do you have coming up this year as far as trips go that people could get into?
Yeah, so I think the standards, Yankees selling very well. Phillies are selling. We have Mets games. usually only do two. I'm doing like 4 or 5 Mets games, Red Sox. I'm still trying to put the one together for up in Boston. We'll see, because bus prices are insane. So especially on the overnights. So we'll see about that one. And then football, Penn State, Notre Dame. You're going to do the Giants, Jets, Eagles, Pittsburgh, and then wine trips in the fall. I'm still working on them. The prices went up too, and they're only allow like 6 people, and that doesn't work when I'm trying to bring 56 to them. So, I'm starting to get some more personal relationships and talk to the people, like the owners of the wineries that I have talked with for years and dealt with, and they're coming around. So I'll hopefully get a good price and let them, get away with the groups. Let us get away with groups, and that's the same stuff. And then once I get the new website finally finished, if I ever do, we're going to do some other things like maybe Nashville, maybe once a year. Different times of the year we'll hit it, and then some other like side trips, maybe out to California. Molly and I and another couple went out to California. We did some wine tasting. It's just 4 nights, 5 days. It was awesome. Napa Valley, Sonoma. Everybody talks about going. They want to go, but they think it's like this big production. They have to get it together. Well, that's where I come in. I'll have it handled. Hopefully I go, and then there's hassle free. They don't have to worry about anything with drink wine.
That's the best part.
Things like that.
Some of your trips, yeah, you just get on the bus and you go, and you have an itinerary, kind of a guide for people to don't know what to do. You give them an idea, or people like me, we're seasoned in Boston. We just go and figure it out. And people can find all your trips on paulsontours.com, correct?
Yep, correct.
Very cool. Well, man, you wouldn't be if you weren't doing something right, you wouldn't be around for 30 years. So congrats.
No, thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah. I would tell somebody I must be doing something right. So
absolutely. I mean, like you said, you take care of people. I mean, you're not just some guy that's counting the money at the end of the day. You're on the trips, you're taking care of people, and you're creating experiences, and that's why we keep coming back, and that's why a lot of people who go on your trips, that I talk to, that's why they go. So it's great to be a friend of yours, and go on your trips. And I'm glad you made it through the pandemic, and you're kind of navigating the waters that is post-COVID and the inflation and all that kind of stuff. But hopefully, maybe your 30 will be like the liftoff that 2020 should have been. Yeah,
I hope so. I think so. I'm an optimist at heart. So, you hang out with good people, you give them good experience, they're going to come back. And, we've been friends for a long time, and the other guys, I enjoy seeing you guys, having drinks with you. Yeah, we didn't, we typically have a drink at the hotel bar. We didn't do that this year. Yeah, I don't know what the heck happened. I don't know. I think we had to go. Where did we see? We saw you guys with, I forget who was on the trip. It was their son. Maybe he came to our room. Good friend of mine. Yes. Yeah, that's right. A good friend of mine. He had EJ Murphy had ALS for years. He dealt with that, and he passed last year. And that was his sister, and she's like a sister to me too. And she always wanted to go to Boston, but she didn't want to go alone. And her son just turned 21, and I'm like, hey, I got a room that opened up. Why don't you come? So we ended up having to drive because my wife still had work, and I think the son still had tests, and he wouldn't leave. He had to take his tests. Yeah. So we drove up, and which I really don't like to do, but I'm forced to do like a lot of times, kids sports, this and that. But anyway, we just we were in the bar for a while with her and her son, and then just wanted to show them some other things real quick, get around the city before it got too late, Yeah. So it was a busy weekend, man. It's a good time though. It was a busy weekend. I think I'm not getting too old. We gotta figure out different things to do when we're there, because you get into a bar at 40, and a lot of the kids are 21, 22. Like they're literally half your age, and it's like I'm in the wrong place. Right. I'm like I don't understand these people anymore. I'm not on their level. I'm not as drunk as they are. I get it. Twice their age. It's like I feel like the old man in the corner. So yeah, we gotta try to figure out, because I was like the last 2 years I was strange with that kind of feeling. It's I don't know, guys. We're in the wrong place. And waiting in line too. That was Molly has such a beautiful smile, my wife, and she we wanted to get them in the Bell in Hand. It's very famous.
Yeah.
We wanted to get them in there before we left. We tried the night before. It was so packed. The next day, we're like, holy crap, the lines were starting at like 9 a.m. I was like, this is unbelievable. So Molly just went up. She saw some people come out the door and she saw this bouncer and she said, hey, can we go in this way? And just with her smile and her charisma, the guy's like, how many people? She's like, only 4 of us. And he's like, sure, come on. I tried to even give the guy a $20 bill. He goes, nah, don't worry about it. I was like, man, so kudos to my wife. She got us in the Bell in Hand and we had a nice little table and, it worked. But yeah, I feel exactly how you feel. Now there's a new area. I can't explain where it is. I think it's over by the Science Center, and that's a new area that's getting built up. And there's breweries over there and stuff. And I still haven't made it back over there, but I was over there about pre-pandemic, 2019, and saw this new area being built up, and it was pretty cool and it wasn't packed. So for 2 years, I've been trying to get back to that. So I think next year I'm going to definitely plan and tell people, hey, there's this whole area to walk to. It's pretty awesome and different, and not as crowded,
Remind me about that.
I will, definitely.
And you've always had great bus drivers.
Yeah, they're good.
There's 2 that have stood out to me, and I'll let you go.
Sure.
Fast Eddie, and then was it Muhammad?
Muhammad, yeah.
I mean, we've been in Boston in March when there's like 3 feet of snow. Or 2017 here in NEPA, we got about 2 feet of snow. Like 5 days before we went on that trip, so Boston still had a bunch too. But like navigating those streets and those side streets, those bus drivers, hands,
truly professionals.
Yeah.
To be honest, I mean, they are professional drivers.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be able to do it. There's no way. I wouldn't even attempt it. And they're going down roads, and I'm like, I'm sitting in the front going, we're in trouble. There's no way. And then next thing you know, he makes it. And I get on the mic. I'm like, round of applause.
Yeah.
And everyone's just like, holy crap. So yeah, they're just like, they're friends too. These guys that I pick as drivers. And, Fast Eddie and I had a little falling out. He's still doing well. I don't think he's driving anymore for March at least, but he was great. We were good friends for a long time. Mohammed's a good guy. Pablo, I'm sure you remember. And then this other gentleman I have driving, Chris. They're just good guys. We just gravitate to each other and work off each other. So,
yeah, the guy we had this year, I think it was Chris.
Yeah,
he parallel parked that bus in between 2 cars in front of that hotel. I have no idea.
Everybody told me.
I have no idea how he did it. No clue.
He's good. He's a good guy.
But Greg, I wish you nothing but continued success. Not only so that I can continue going on your trips, but just you're a good dude, good family. And you started it at ground zero, and you built a great thing for yourself. So wish you the best of luck. And I hope the Paulson Tours continues on in some fashion when you're ready to retire. Hope those kids decide, you know what, let's keep this thing going.
Yeah, they might. We'll see. I'll leave it an option for them.
That's all you can do, right?
Yeah. Hey, listen, I enjoyed myself. Your podcast is awesome. I've been following it ever since, you've been tagging me, and you're doing a great job. So I wish you all the best too, your wife and your kids, and your whole crew there, your buddies.
Shout out Nick, Dave, Vince. He didn't come this year. Brian, we call him Brain. Is that all of them? Mike? Yeah, I think that's all of them. Yeah, 4 or 5 of them. Yeah, we have a great time. And that's honestly, it's, we all live close together, like, within half hour kind of. And that's like the one time a year we're guaranteed to see each other. And that's like, sometimes it's, the 1 or 2 times we do see each other in the year. So
yeah, that's why I told you, don't give up on those, man. Wherever it is, if it's with me, fantastic. If it's somewhere else, then just don't give up, man. Hang out with it.
You go camping once a year, and then we go to Boston once a year, and that's at least the guaranteed run-ins. So thank you for that.
Oh, no problem at all. Absolutely, my pleasure.
But I'm sure I'll be talking to you even after this. So PaulsonTours.com, tons of trips, football, baseball. He said Mets, Phillies, Yankees, even though they stink. Hopefully we get some Boston game up there.
Still half a game ahead of you.
Yeah. And then obviously the wine trips, all that stuff in the fall, Steelers, Penn State, all that good stuff. So check out PaulsonTours.com. Greg will take care of you. Greg, thank you again so much.
Oh, thank you. Take care, John.
We'll see you.
Bye-bye.